We all know that one of the things that Joe did throughout the course of his life was gather lifelong friends. And the Mobley family are one of the families that are on that list. This time I invite Delia to come forward and share. Delia?
That voice. Joe had a velvet tone, smooth, rich, and unforgettable. No wonder he emceed, moderated, and lectured at so many events and found success in the radio world. People were drawn to that voice, but those of us who really knew him were drawn to his heart. Joe was one of my husband's dearest friends. He was really more like family to us. I used to joke that they had the better social life. Those two lunched together so often, I kind of felt left out at times. But truly, the bond they shared was one built on respect, laughter, and deep friendship. When I think of Joe, I think of humanitarian, historian, avid reader, a strong and steady leader, loyal to the core, particular in the best of ways, compassionate, genuine, a true servant of the Lord, ambassador for education and his community. Joe and I shared a love of music. He had a playlist I truly envied. It was legendary. He had burned about 100 CDs over the years for us. And when Joe got sick, there was one thing that I told him that I wanted of his, and that was his playlist, more than anything else. And I even bought an iPod for that very reason, is to download Joe's playlist. We had such fun naming tunes and artists, sometimes reaching back to the 1920s. Music was a language we both spoke fluently. Some of our favorite memories together are tied to shared moments. Vacations, like the time we rented a sailboat and island-hopped in the Caribbean. Standing Friday night dinner dates, driving to nearby towns, to interesting places to eat. And our standing reservations on Sunday lunches. After church, for more years than I can count, Easters and Thanksgivings, and Valentine dinners, birthday celebrations, concerts, plays, football games in our home theater, Super Bowl parties, and hosting Kentucky Derby parties, and those exquisite 7-course fundraising dinners for the then GSU Botanical Gardens. We've mourned together over the loss of loved ones we held dear. And let's not forget how we managed to survive COVID together. During lockdown, while the world grew smaller and lonelier for many, Joe and Susan, Chip and I, and a couple of friends trusted each other to be protective of our health. We had the best outdoor COVID parties, and Nancy may be just hearing about this, but we did not get sick. Simply put, we did life together. In these last months, as Joe so bravely walked through his illness, I found myself reflecting deeply on his life, and more importantly, his walk with the Lord. I am reminded of Enoch in the book of Hebrews, how he walked in obedience to God. So closely was he linked to the Heavenly Father that he simply transferred his presence from this life into God's presence. When I think of Joe, I think of this. He pleased God. He walked faithfully, humbly, obediently, and the closeness of that walk was evident to all who knew him. There's a line from Hymn of Promise that says, "In our end is our beginning, in our time, infinity. In our doubt, there is believing, in our life, eternity." Joe believed in that eternity. He lived with assurance. And there was such tenderness in these final weeks of his life. We were granted precious moments, quiet conversations, and laughter, and meaningful time spent with him as he prepared his heart for what was ahead. I thought often of the words from Amazing Grace. "Yea, when this flesh and heart shall fail, and mortal life shall cease, I shall possess within the veil a life of joy and peace." How true that is. That peace was in Joe's room. Such a peace. Susan and Nancy, with the support and love of wife and daughter, quietly stood by his side as he passed. Susan, Nancy, you were the last to embrace him as he slipped from this earth and stepped through the gates of heaven. There is a quote by John Wesley. Joe texted me one night. He had been awake in the middle of the night, and he said, "I've been thinking about this quote." And it's one that I love too. "Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as you ever can." Joe lived that philosophy every single day. So now, Joe, my friend, I speak to you. You lived well. You loved deeply. You left this world much better than you found it. Thank you for the music. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for being our friend. We will miss you and your voice and your hugs. Joe Mack, we had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.